it's like they're being sacrificed, basically. I mean, it's the Hannibal directive on a countrywide scale.
You have a mass exodus of Israelis that are fleeing the state. And this is something that I've been talking about for a very long time. Look, mass exodus of Israeli settlers across the Egyptian border. Isn't this interesting? Because you would think that these people who considered Israel their holy land, isn't it interesting that they have no attachment to this land, they're willing to leave? Why do you guys think that is? They deucing out because they are getting fucking trounced. So I'm going to play this video, and I want you guys to respond. Because now you have those Israelis that are fleeing on foot to Egypt, but Israel is blocking flight for international Jews who use the right to return because they are using them as human shields. That's how badly they're getting hammered. So we'll start with David. I won't play this video because right now everyone in Tel Aviv is absolutely panicking because they realize they're not immortal.
Donald Trump, mate, I'm stranded in Tel Aviv and we need your help. I've got hundreds of British Jews here and one very tall, very blonde Gentile who are stuck in Tel Aviv because of the useless UK Foreign Office who have just told us to walk back to Egypt. Yet after 3,000 years, they want us to do the full exodus in reverse through the desert in June. No Moses, no map, no air conditioning. David Lammy reckons it's character building. I reckon it's a complete joke. So
I thought you was attached to the land of Israel. Isn't that your holy land? Why are you begging another government to pick you up? You guys see how invested they are? I'm going to let it finish, now pass to David.
I'm asking you directly. Send the Trump plane or even Air Force One. I heard it's about to be retired anyway. So why not go out in style? Flying to Tel Aviv, scoop us up. You'll be a hero. And I promise you, every single passenger will be wearing a bright red mega hat. That's right. Make England great again. Help us, Donald. Get us home. And if you do, I will personally campaign to rename Heathrow Trump International. Terminal MAGA. Cheers, mate.
Imagine having this little shame. I'll pass it to Dave first. Nico, that's David, what do you guys think?
I mean, I just think it's really interesting that the people who supposedly crossed Egypt all those years ago apparently need air conditioning to do so. I'd imagine the Jews in the time of Moses wouldn't have made that trip if they didn't have air conditioning. Very interesting. But again, it goes to the heart of the issue, which of course is that these are not people who are native to the land, right? These are colonizers. These are settlers. These are, at risk of offending, whoever might be offended in the audience. These are white peopling. That's literally what it is.
White peopling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It just is what it is. So like it's very difficult to watch this as an African and take it seriously. I just can't. It's pathetic.
Yeah, everyone knows if you want your feelings to be protected, RBN is not the spot, especially when we're doing the Hotspot live. Nico, what's your reaction to that?
Bruh. I don't even know. I honestly don't even know where to start. The fact that he's appealing to Trump instead of Starmer is weird, right? And nobody finds that weird. Like, that's already one weird thing. The fact that they're actually being allowed to cross freely when we know Gazans were not allowed to cross freely like that, right? Like, we just watched. I was in Egypt. One of the while I was helping to put together aid for the Palestinians, one of the biggest issues that we had was that the refugees that were trying to get through were not being allowed through. And the Egyptian government was actually trying to charge for every Palestinian that came through. And these people just walking casually. And then the fact that he's giving his entire speech about being in Israel after 3,000 years, bro, your accent does not sound like you've been in Palestine for 3,000 years. It's not like you just got there yesterday, actually, from the UK, actually. Exactly, like, why? It's bizarre to me, the level of entitlement. Like, come out here with your plane. And I thought it was satirical. And then by the end of it, I realized, oh no, he actually feels entitled to Air Force One. He believes that Donald Trump is going to watch his video and he's going to fly out there with Air Force One. He's like, and I'll campaign for you to, what? Bro, who are you? But it's a level of entitlement, and it's the fact that,
boy.
like, let me just say once again, shout out to my Palestinian brothers and sisters, because when they said that's their land, they meant that shit.
Yeah.
They are willing to literally die on that land. They will not leave their homes because they know that there's a bomb about to be dropped on their head. They will not leave their homes. And the moment there is a threat, the first time there's a legitimate threat to Israelis, deuces.
Have you seen
their flags, waving their Israeli flags as they're entering the airport of another European nation? Like, why aren't you back at home? That's your land, right? Fight for it.
Yeah, and the thing is, Nico, have you seen the offers? David, have you guys seen the offers that the Palestinians have gotten to leave the land, to ethnically cleanse themselves? I seen an offer that was given to the Palestinian people that if they flee their land, they will give them housing for a year in Egypt. They get employment opportunities. There was countries in Europe that was offering refuge, and then every time they was giving these offers, the Palestinians was like, "No, we good, bro. We'd rather fight for our homeland." And meanwhile, the Israelis are like rats, like they are. But go ahead, Nico.
No, I was just saying, because the moment they leave, they know Israel will never give that land back.
Yep. That's exactly why it's very smart for them, obviously, to fight for the land. While Israel is a fake country who can't even defend itself. There's Israelis, and there's a reason why they do make that video. Do you guys think Donald Trump is going to watch that video? Of course not. That is to sell the war to MAGA. That is to sell the war to Americans so Americans can support the struggle of the Israelis. There's been countless videos of these Israelis calling for America to come in and get involved. This is a country that cannot utterly defend itself without outside help. This is the definition of a fake country. But if you guys think that's all, trust me, I could do a 1 hour stream just on Israeli tears because these people are soft. They haven't been through a fraction of a fraction of a fraction what the Palestinian people are doing. And Iran is in a great point right now because they can sit back and just break the Israeli people's will and their spirit. The Iranian people, they're fighting for their existence, their pride, their culture, their heritage. Meanwhile, these Zionists, they were having a full-fledged meltdown the first time they're fighting a war that not against women and children.
It ain't even been a week. It hasn't even been a week, yo. Like, when you really think, Palestinians have been going through this for what, almost
for decades,
almost 2 years, right? Or is it a year? It'll be almost 2 years, right? If I'm not mistaken. And it'll be almost 2 years, 2023. And they've gone through it without Iran purposely attacking civilians. They've gone through this for a week, and these motherfuckers is just peace. We love Israel. Yeah, give us our land back. Oh, you gonna fight for it? Whoa, I gotta fight for it. Y'all can't just like do that thing where y'all put take a pen on a piece of paper and give it to me again. Y'all can't just do that. No, you actually got to fight for it. I mean, since you guys wanted to start this goddamn war, y'all were cheering for this, right? Israelis have been cheering for war against Iran. Y'all said that y'all are doing this for the entire world. That's what y'all keep saying all over social media. Okay, cool. If y'all doing it for the whole world, just stand on business. Fight. Fight. Yeah. The moment y'all realize, y'all know what Israelis really learning is the difference between fighting some militia who are basically equipped with, secondhand armaments, some grit and ideology is not the same as fighting a country with a military. Y'all have never fought a fucking army before. Y'all have never fought a real military. And the first time y'all do in your history, y'all like, oh, that's what it's just like. No, we out. That wasn't part of the deal. That's basically what's happening.
Look at this video.
Please, I beg you, stop this. Stop the war. Iran, we don't want more blood. Please,
now you don't want blood.
I beg you, stop this. Stop the war. Iran, we don't want more blood.
Who is he? Hold up. Who did he ask to stop? He said begging who? Who's begging in the beginning?
Can I just say? Look, far from it. I'm not trying to suggest that. Hey, I want to see bloodshed. I want to see people die. That's not what I'm saying at all. However, I do think that outbursts like this make it even more important for Iran to not let off.
Yeah,
the reason I say that is I think there's this there's this assumption that somehow the pain or the tears or the experiences of an Israeli are somehow worth more than those of a Palestinian or anyone else. And I think that if Iran were to let up now, that will somehow strengthen that perception that somehow it's more important when it happens to this group of people than when it happens to that group of people. No, I don't think so. I think they need, as you said, they haven't yet gone through a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of what the Palestinians go through. And just to follow on from what Nick was saying, it's not actually been 2 years. It's been over 70 years that things like this have been happening. What has happened over the past 2 years is that the amount of coverage has been unprecedented. But they've been doing these things for decades. They've been shooting kids at checkpoints for decades. They've been randomly carrying out illegal airstrikes and murdering whole buildings full of people for decades. I grew up watching these things. It's not new. They've been doing it for decades, and absolutely nobody in Israel had a problem with it. It was, it was perfectly fine. It was Tuesday. So now that it's happening to them, I feel like, I'm sorry to say this, and I'm sorry if there's any, if there's any Israelis who are watching who are going to say that I'm anti-Semitic, then I'm going to, throw the racism Uno card back at you and tell you I'm negrophobic, since that's the clown world that we live in. I think it's important that there must be a balance of experiences. People, I think, need to understand what the other side goes through, so that the next time you're in a position of power, you will know not to misuse it.
Hey, that's facts. And like, it isn't just Palestine, because Israel was doing this to, they've done this to Lebanon, right? They've been bombing Syria. And where was the, oh my God, please, Israel, stop bombing them. And we were like, yo, they literally treated it like it was another Tuesday. I remember looking at this list of all the times that Israel has bombed Syria, like in the last 3 years. And I was like, bro, it happens so often that it doesn't even make the news.
Exactly.
Do you understand what they're like? Syrians were living in a period. I mean, because they were getting bombed by a lot of people, but specifically, Syrians were living in a period where they got bombed so often, and it was just normal that it didn't even make the news. Yeah. That is insane. And Israelis oftentimes cheered it on and justified it as it's because everybody wants to attack us, so we're going to attack them first. It's like, okay, but have they attacked y'all yet? No, not really. Okay, so why are you attacking them? Because they want to. And how do you know this? Because we heard somebody say that on Twitter, I guess, or that's what my prime minister says. The prime minister that y'all don't like, that y'all are literally trying to oust right now. Yeah, him. The one that you call a liar every day. Yeah, him. So he's lying about everything except for this, basically. But it really comes down to my bigotry, not me, but their bigotry allows them to believe whenever Netanyahu lies about the victimhood of Israel, while simultaneously they also simultaneously believe he's the most corrupt politician that's ever governed the nation, and they want him in jail. How the fuck do those two things make sense together?
It absolutely doesn't. It's not supposed to make sense, right? It absolutely not supposed to make sense. The Israeli people, their entire life is a contradiction. And that's why they're struggling. They're putting out these information. They're losing the information war in such a gigantic way that I literally had my most viral tweet of all time, 7.5 million views, of people just celebrating Israelis getting smoked by Iran.
That's crazy.
I can't play the audio because I'll get pulled because this is a big show. But people are celebrating around the world that Israel is getting smoked. And I 100% agree with what you said, David, but I will go even harsher. I unapologetically cheer when I see these bombs dropping on Tel Aviv. Do you guys know that there is a Telegram channel? One of the biggest Telegram channels in Israel is a group of Israelis that are posting pictures of dead Palestinian children.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Telegram channel. Yeah, there's a Telegram channel. They post pictures of mutilated children. I saw a screenshot. There's a infamous video of picture of a Palestinian girl that had both her legs blown off. And I saw a screenshot with all these Israelis, and I mean with thousands of likes, laughing at her. And I'm supposed to feel bad? Like, are people serious? How many times I said on this show, there is nothing wrong with hating your oppressors and wanting them to see them get smoked out. There's nothing wrong with hating your oppressors. And after seeing children die, after having my mind broken, seeing all these dead children, I unapologetically want to see these people meet their maker the same way I would want to see Nazis meet their maker. The same way I want to see slave owners meet their maker. The same way I want to see King Leopold meet his maker. You don't apologize. Oh my God, this is sad. It is not sad. This shit is the most glorious thing of all time. And what makes it glorious?
Yep.
Is because Iran, and I want you guys' thoughts on this. Iran, their strategy has been amazing. Right now, Israel is getting their ass beat so bad by Iran because these idiots thought they can win a war against Iran because they're good at murdering children, that the Knesset passed a bill and they were locking up Israelis for showing the world how badly they were getting their shit kicked in.
Mm-hmm. Can I make a counterpoint to that, Nick?
Yeah, sure.
So I actually believe that they knew they couldn't win this war. And let me tell you, it's actually fucking sinister as shit because it's the same when you think about it in the context of the military strategy to galvanize support for Israel. It actually falls into that same context. It's I'm the victim, so please help us because we can't win by ourselves. So everybody remembers that they exhausted their Iron Dome system. Basically, they depleted it the first time Iran and Yemen responded to that attack when they assassinated those military officials in Syria at the embassy. Every other time Israel has had to use their Iron Dome, the United States rearms them almost immediately.
Absolutely.
Why is it that this time, they've gone through 2 administrations now. That happened under Biden, and yet by the time Trump comes in, you still haven't rearmed the Iron Dome, knowing that you were planning on setting this bitch off. Want to know how we knew? Want to know how we know that? Because y'all embedded Mossad agents. Y'all have been shipping in drones, car bombs, planning all this for months to years in advance. But you didn't think to fucking reload before you start a war?
Yeah, that's a great point, Nico.
And then you make sure no Israeli can leave. It's because you knew. First of all, you can't beat an army. You are not a real one, at least not by yourself. So how do you convince Americans to support their government going to war on your behalf? You trap everybody in. You deplete your weapon system. Israeli officials are saying they only have 10 to 12 days, and I doubt it's that long. They have 10 to 12 days of this. And in 10 to 12 days, all hell's about to break loose because the U.S. government's already made its decision. All that's happening right now is the manufacturing of consent to support the decision that's already been made on our behalf.
Nico, you just killed him, my brother, because to the point, they're running out of interceptors. And it's mind-blowing. You're 100% right. Israel know they can't beat Iran, but our corporate news don't know, quote unquote. Because if you was to watch CNN and MSNBC, they're like, yeah, Israel, we should let them go to war with Iran. They don't need American help. They've been convincing Americans and people in the West that they can fight their own wars when Israelis don't have any intention of doing that. Right? That's why we know that Donald Trump's 2-week delay is bullshit. I explained on this show many times before that the decision has already been made a long time ago. Like this whole thing.
You saw the leak, right?
You said what?
The leak of the talking points.
Yeah.
That leak is from days ago. The war just started days ago. Like you already got. Why do you are if you're because Ted Cruz? Well, actually, Ted Cruz actually kind of snitched and said, "What do you mean we are fighting the war? What are you talking about?" Woo, we get to that later. But he said that we're already fighting the war or we're helping Israel. Kind of like he kind of bursted the bubble on that. We all kind of knew that already. They already started intercepting missiles, but the decision had already been made. So, but like the war had just started, and at that point, Israel was still lying about casualties, talking about they only had 2 civilian casualties. That's bullshit. Like you putting these damn missile systems in the middle of neighborhoods, bro. Like, and you trying to tell me, and we're watching the buildings fall, and you're like, 2 people died.
They never tell the truth. We don't, bro. The IDF was smoked out in Gaza, and they refuse to release the casualty numbers, and if they do, it's absolute bullshit. Maybe anything else you want to add? I want to pass you because there's still a few more things I want to show you. Anything you want to add? That
was my point. It's just I think that they're getting their shit kicked in, but like it's like they're being sacrificed basically. I mean, it's the Hannibal directive on a countrywide scale.
Yep, and they were getting ready to kill their own people for it. Like Laura Loomer already been leaking the idea of false flags. They're saying it's going to be a summer of terror. And there was a report I saw not too long ago. I didn't save it though, where they said that there's going to be Jewish people attacked throughout Europe by radical Islamist groups supported by Iran. So that's coming, my friends. That's coming, my friends.
Which is crazy because literally, if Iran allegedly attacked America, that would be the first time Iran ever killed an American in the history of ever. Literally, there's zero. That is according to U.S. numbers. 0 Americans have died at the hands of the Iranian state, y'all. Obviously, we can't say that about in the reverse. We've killed plenty of Iranians, whether it be through conquering their governments or other methods, but or literally assassinating their leaders. But we can't say that about Israel. Israel's killed more Americans than Iran has. But Ted Cruz wants to sit there and lament. They want to kill America. They want to end America. Okay, well, I understand the words, but have they actually killed an American? Well, no, but that's not the point. No, that actually is the fucking point. So now we're supposed to believe for the very first time ever, they're having a war with Israel. Therefore, they want to kill Trump. The logic is so it's so far off. It's they're not even trying anymore. It may be because they're idiots. It could be that. It could be they don't even realize how stupid the shit that's coming out of their mouth actually sounds. Israel started a war. Therefore, Iran must want Trump dead. And they have assassins. That's what Ted Cruz, they have assassins. And they're just not that good. What?
Incoherent. David, is there anything you want to add before I move on?
Yeah, just that in addition to them potentially having that strategy of trying to use their population as essentially bait for the Iranians to then bring the US into the war, which I think is what they might well be trying to do. I think their strategy is also sort of contradictory, because if you saw earlier today, they've also announced that it's now illegal in Israel to film any missile impacts. It's illegal to film the aftermath. It's illegal to film the missiles flying overhead. They're trying to impose an information blockade, basically, because what they've realized is that apart from everything else that they've lost, they're also losing that aura of invincibility that they've built up over decades. That myth of Israel being this hyper-capable, impenetrable military superpower, as small as it is, and it's been thoroughly decimated by 30-year-old Iranian missiles. And now they've realized that this is only going to get worse, because once that aura of invincibility, that fear factor has been lost, it's not just Iran you're going to have to worry about going forward, right? Because don't forget, they've spent decades doing their best to create all kinds of enemies in the region. So now they're hemorrhaging that invincibility and they're trying to shore it up. But at the same time, if you successfully impose that information blockade, then how are you going to get the world to see that Iran is doing all this damage to you to then bring the US into the conflict? So they may have just basically shot themselves in the foot, and that's kind of what happens when you're a supremacist. You take irrational, stupid decisions because all you can see is your self-acclaimed supremacism. And then when it doesn't work out, well,
it's paradoxical, right? They don't want anybody to show the damage, but the state wants to control what damage that is seen, right? So with the hospital, they wanted to control that narrative, and they tried to spin that shit. They were like, oh, look, they're attacking hospitals. And Iran's like, actually, no, we didn't even know that hospital was there. We attacked your military installation, and y'all motherfuckers put a hospital beside it. Why are y'all putting hospitals beside military installations? Because they weren't expecting that. That's probably what, because Iran, bro, once again, we have to remember this in the context. The whole reason Iran doesn't have a nuke is because they try their damnedest not to have any collateral damage in whatever military engagement they have. Unfortunately, it's unavoidable sometimes, but this hospital was so close to the military installation that it got hit by a shockwave, y'all. And then Israel tried to say that that the hospital was targeted. And it was never targeted, but that is how close that hospital was, and why other hospitals haven't been targeted, because Iran's not trying to target hospitals. Meanwhile, Israel wiped out the entire medical system of Gaza in deliberate targets. They deliberately targeted them. So they're trying to control, like they don't want other people to release the information, but they still want to look like the victim. So the state takes like situations like with that hospital and they spin that and try to make it more than what it is without actually showing the actual damage. Because like what David said, if the chink in their armor is exposed, then it's like blood in the water. Like I wouldn't be surprised at some point soon if Hezbollah and Lebanon don't get involved. Like I would not be surprised because they're having to pull out IDF soldiers from Gaza right now. So,
dude, guys, this is not going well for Israel, and Iran is actually playing this really well. Like they're engaging in psychological warfare. That's why I'm doing my part too. Like when the Israelis, when they see 500,000 people like my tweet celebrating Tel Aviv being bombed, that is psychological battle that we are waging against the Israelis, which is causing them to flee their country. And what happens when a mass amount of people flee their country? Their economy suffers, right? What happens when you have a large amount of your population that is not contributing to your economy in an era where tourism is dead? So you're not getting tourism money. Tourism is dead. Think about who can leave a country just out of nowhere. The people with money, right? So the people with the most people who can just fucking leave the country, they already left a long time ago. So good luck.
Those are literally the only people allowed to leave. That's what the rule says. It's literally business people and diplomats and the tourists. So it's literally the only people can leave have money.
Yep.
That's it. So it's like you're fucking draining your country on top of all of it. It's like, bro, I just don't. Netanyahu is so. Once again, I do feel like this was planned in advance, but I do feel like there's an element of Netanyahu trying to protect his own personal interests because of these corruption hearings. There was supposed to be like a total of, I want to say like 70 in total of these corruption hearings. They were supposed to go well into 2026, but they keep getting put off because every time a hearing is scheduled, Netanyahu just fucking takes another pot shot of the country. Like seriously, that's what happens every single time. So I think that they're a little bit there's an element of, yeah, this was planned. This is a regime change that's been planned. But I also believe that the execution of it is so horrible because Netanyahu is in charge and he's looking out for his own personal interests. I mean, the dude literally was like, hey, I know my son's supposed to get married this week, but fuck that guy. We launching these missiles today. Like, I don't care about my own son's wedding that's had to be postponed because we're in the middle of a war with Iran. And I knew this was going to happen and still let it happen.
So there's another reason why I was explaining why Israel's screwed. Obviously, the economy is in shambles. Tourism is dead forever. Do you guys think tourism will come back? You guys think people are going to turn on Israel?
Nah.
I know I didn't want to go there before, but it's 5 years later. No, it's dead forever. Like, it's not going to recover. So not only that, Ron is playing this extremely smart because they're engaged in psychological warfare against the Israelis. Because what are the Israelis used to? The Israelis are used to a Western lifestyle, air conditioning, comfortable living, and pretty much essentially a modern lifestyle. What the fuck they've been doing for the last few days? They've been hiding like little baby bunker bitches. The power going out of nowhere.
I was going to mention that as well, that in addition to taking away all their modern comforts, another very important thing that Iran is doing psychologically is that all the visual symbols of Israeli prosperity, the stock exchange, the tall buildings, all those things are being systematically decimated. And what that is doing to the national psyche of the Israelis is that psychologically it's reducing them to the level of Gaza.
Yes.
Because I saw someone analyze this recently, that's really the only thing you can do to hurt Israelis. Because don't get the impression that Israelis don't know how awful they are as a people. They're absolutely aware and they're fine with it. They're absolutely aware that they're terrible people and they're okay with it. The only thing that you can do that will really hurt them is take away their position of superiority over the people that they love to oppress. Right. So which is why you saw them doing those TikTok videos about, switching the lights on and off, water coming out of the tap, all of those things, because them having those things while the Gazans are living in shacks makes them, it fills that hole, that gaping hole in the soul of the Israeli. So if you take that away from them, take away their running water, take away their electricity, take away their cable TV and their internet, take away everything that Yeah, exactly. You know, take away all their creature comforts, take away their ability to look across the skyline and see this beautiful modern city. Take that away from them. Let them look across the skyline of Tel Aviv and see Gaza. And that really is the only thing you can do that properly destroys Israelis. And I think it's working. And I think it should continue.
To your point, David, and Nico, I want you to respond to this. I know you. I want you to respond to this in your original point, because look at this. I'm glad I found this. Look, this is what Israelis are tweeting. They're fucking turning us into Gaza.
Exactly.
Yep, they surely are. You know what? If Palestinians can't have Palestine, motherfucker, how about nobody has it? How about
exactly?
That? That's how I feel. Like, I'm not gonna sit here. Like I said, I can't garner sympathy. Bro, this last year and a half, I think that I speak for all of us when I say, bro, there, especially at the beginning, bro, I would have days where I'm crying.
I'm about to cry, bro.
I felt so powerless. And watching what was happening in Gaza, we're seeing videos upon pictures. Like, I got kids, like, and I'm like imagining, like, what would I do in that situation? How would I even be equipped to survive or save my kids? And like, the reality is you don't have any control in that situation. Imagine being a parent and not having any control over whether your kid lives or dies because you were just born Palestinian and you live in Gaza and you don't want to leave your home. Like, we went through obviously Palestinians have gone through something nobody else in the world has gone through, in the way that they're trapped and they have nowhere to go and they're being bombed into pieces and being used as political cannon fodder in one way or another by either group. But then on top of that, like, we had all experienced this collective trauma of feeling powerless while Israelis were bragging about the shit, celebrating this shit, making excuse, justifying it, saying that no child is innocent, right? And I'm gonna be quite honest with y'all, like, y'all want to talk about there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian. I'm not gonna say there's no such thing as an innocent Israeli. I'm gonna say there's not enough for y'all for me to give a fuck. I'm just like, I'm keeping it a band. Like, there's not. I'm so sorry, y'all. There's not enough innocent Israelis for me to give a fuck if y'all are getting slaughtered. Because there are, like, whenever you see those protests of Israelis in the street, and what's crazy because those Israelis will probably agree with me, but when you see those protests of Israelis in the street that are actually protesting on behalf of Palestinians, bro, they're like 10 of them. They're like 10. Groups of like 10. That's insane. You're telling me there's nobody who cares?
Bro, they had massive pro-rape rallies in Israel. They were dwarfing the size of the quote-unquote anti-Benjamin Netanyahu, anti-genocide protests in Israel. They were protesting because Israel arrested someone for committing rape. And they're like, no, motherfucker, we don't care about war crimes. And to your point, Nico, every single adult Israeli has to sign up for the IDF. So unless you're a conscientious objector, you're not an innocent Israeli, period. The only innocent Israeli are the Israeli children, because Israeli children can't consent to being a criminal colonizer. So what happens when you turn 18, 19? You have to sign up for the IDF. That second that the teenager doesn't go to prison, because there are people in Israel that go to prison because they object to serving the IDF. Unless you're willing to go to prison, unless you're willing to leave the country, you are not innocent. That's my position. I don't expect everyone to agree with it. But you can't serve the IDF and impose and part out on the people, then retire, kick up your feet, and like, oh, I'm an innocent civilian now. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, no, because you know what happens after you serve your time in the IDF, right? You get a bag. Like, you get money. You get enough money. It's like, at the time it was like 10,000 shekels, or they help you pay to start a business, or they help you, they pay for your wedding. So it's not like you go to IDF, you do your time, and it's just over. Like, you get a significant reward for just being willing to kill kids, for being willing to maintain apartheid. Like, there are people who regret their time in the IDF because that's probably when they realize, oh shit, I'm not protecting anybody. I'm just oppressing this group. There are people who are like that. But once again, the reality of the situation is there are not enough of them for me to care. Like, it's sad. I mean, I hate to sound so cruel, I guess, but like, bro, I had to take days off of work at times. Like, I had literally requested a day off because I'm like, bro, I can't deal with this shit. I cannot have another day of me looking at video after video after video of these Palestinian kids being blown into pieces. And after that, seeing tweet after tweet after tweet from fucking Israelis celebrating this shit without me being able to cross the fucking river and bust their ass. And people kept saying, why don't you go over there? Boy, I would. That's the thing. Like, we're not allowed to. If I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to Israel right now to go help fight, we're not allowed to. But like a nigga like me, I fucking would, bro. I'm down with the smoke. I am okay with that. I would go fight y'all motherfuckers because I'm like in MMA, Nick. You an MMA concierge. How many Israelis you see handing out ass whoopers?
They get their ass kicked all the time.
All the time. In other words, in every single situation, an Israeli has to actually fucking fuck with somebody who is trained to bust ass. They get their ass whooped.
A quick question. Name one Israeli champion in the UFC.
Oh, shit.
In 35 history, name one glory kickboxing champion that came from Israel. Name one Pride FC champion that came from Israel.
All the opportunity.
Nah, doesn't happen.
All the opportunity. None of the achievements. Why is that? Because the only fucking achievements y'all have are the ones we paid for. I don't know about, you live in Nigeria. I don't know if maybe some of your tax dollars go there too. Nigeria crazy too. But at least as Americans, we pay for y'all shit. We literally hand y'all participation trophies of success all the fucking time. Even the minimal ability you have to defend yourself at this very moment is because our taxpayer dollars are going for it. Yep. Y'all asking us to go fight your battle because y'all are too pussy and not equipped to go fucking fight your own fight that you started. Yep. Iran, what's crazy is right now, y'all notice something? While Iran is out here fighting Israel, knowing that there's a threat of the US, knowing that there's a threat of the UK, knowing that there's a threat of the EU, all of them are threatening to get involved. Who has Iran asked for help from? Not a motherfucking soul.
They're like, hey, Russia, I know you bogged down in Ukraine. Hey, China, it's cool. You got Taiwan, you got to worry about. We got this, bro. We got this. If the West come in, you might deal with it, but for now, we got it, bro. You got to worry about Taiwan, you got to worry about Ukraine. We all good, bro.
They didn't even just say we got it. Not only did they say we got it, but they then threatened all of them. Everybody said, we dare y'all to get involved. We dare all of y'all to get involved, and we going to handle it.
Yep. One more thing I want to add, because I wrote this down because I wanted to explain what I've been thinking over the last, yesterday I was doing a lot of thinking, and I've seen what Iran is doing and the status of Israelis, and this is going to my whole thing about the psychological warfare. That's kind of the theme of this segment that we talking about, how Israel is losing the psychological warfare. Because you understand, modern warfare is not necessarily about the biggest military winning. It's about who breaks first, my friends. So there was good strategy done in Vietnam, for example. They knew that if the American people turn against the war, if the American people are broken, if they see their friends and family go back in body bags, they will win the psychological war, and that will turn the war in their favor. That is quite literally exactly what's happening in Israel right now. And that would lead to Iran's clear shift in strategy, where they are targeting refineries, water plants, power stations, to create a situation where Israel cannot handle what's going on in this war. They cannot possibly stand what's going on. And that is what put Iran in such a strong position, because their people are battle hardened. They have no other choice to engage in this war.